Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have another continuation video of one that I filmed last year, which was my advice about the University of Guelph. Since I posted that video and since I posted some other vlog videos about Guelph, I've had a lot of questions in my Instagram DMs and just in YouTube comments in general about Guelph, so I figured I would do a part 2 to this video and answering some of the more popular questions. In this one, I'm going to be doing my makeup while I do these questions because I figured just me sitting here and talking is actually quite boring, so at least I'm doing something. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and answer those. But before that, if you are interested in seeing more content from me or any more Guelph related content, be sure to subscribe to this channel and also follow me on all of my social media, which will be in the bio. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Before I get into it though, I will disclaim 2 things. I woke up this morning and my allergies are really bad. I don't know what's going on. I usually don't have allergy problems, but today I am feeling fine, but definitely a little bit stuffy, so if I sound like that, so sorry. And I also have all the questions on my phone. I just put them all in a Google Doc and I'm just gonna read them from here, so if you see me looking at that, that's why. And when it comes to my makeup routine, it's pretty simple. I'm not really going to be doing anything crazy, so I will link one in the iCards of a makeup routine that I've done before, or I'll put it in the bio if I remember. So if you want to see more in depth about my products and what I use, just click on that. But yeah, we're just going to focus on the questions, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. And yeah, okay, let's go. So one of the top questions I always get about Guelph is what it's like being a minority at Guelph, because if you don't know, which I mean, if you're watching this video, you probably are looking at Guelph as a school, and you probably know that Guelph as a city and as a school is predominantly white, and of course I am not white, so I often get questions about what my experience was like being a minority there. Just for some context, which I probably should put in this video, I graduated from Guelph last year. My freshman year was in 2015, so this was like 6 years ago. Oh my god. So I am now 23. I'm gonna be turning 24 this year. I know I look 16, but anyways, so just for some background, a lot of the advice I'm giving and my experience happened 6 years ago. But when I went to Guelph, personally, I didn't experience anything, at least not to my face. I don't know if anyone said anything when I wasn't there, but generally speaking, I literally didn't experience anything, which is actually pretty surprising, and I know that shocks people whenever I mention it. But with that being said though, I think a lot of the reason that happened is because I just made a really good group of friends in Frost Week at first year, and I just stayed friends with them for the rest of my university experience. And so because of that, my friends were just good, like, which is rare because a lot of them were white, obviously, and they were cool. Like, I literally felt so comfortable with them, and because I only hung out with those people, I also made other friends along the way who were also just good people. I didn't feel uncomfortable at all. I didn't like have any bad experiences, because when I was at Guelph, I was only with them, and when I was by myself, like, I don't know, I just didn't really experience anything. With that said though, obviously Guelph is white. Very much so. This was back in 2015, and I feel like over the past several years it's changed. I feel like it's not that white anymore. I don't know. Can y'all let me know? Can you kids let me know what it's like now? But back when I was applying in 2015, like in my high school, it was like known that Guelph was like a white school. So I don't know how it is now. I feel like it's probably a little bit more diverse now. But yeah, just because I said that my experience was fine, I didn't experience anything at all, doesn't mean other people didn't. And I know that a lot of other people who are minorities who did go to Guelph had a very different experience than I did. I don't know how I lucked out that way. I just happened to have good friends and I only hung out with them, so I just didn't experience any sort of like discrimination, racism at all. Like, I literally don't know how I managed that, at least not to my face, right? So I don't know. But yeah, I don't know, it's kind of weird because just because my experience was good, I don't want you to go and then run into some situation and be like, any PWI, I feel like you may run into some racist people, and especially because Guelph is like kind of country, like a little bit. I feel like maybe not so much anymore, but when I went it was very country, and a lot of people came from very small rural Ontario like places, which I'll get into later on because I had questions about that. But so you may run into something. I don't think it was like crazy bad, but again, I'm kind of biased because I just had a really good experience. But I hope that's like not a super, that answered your question. As for like when I was out in the city, I literally, like, I don't know, for some reason it was fine. I usually frequent the same places but when I went, it was fine. I feel like in general, as a minority, you always have like random like old white ladies staring at you, and I don't know if that was just because I was black or just they had a staring problem. I don't know, but it didn't, like, it wasn't anything super out of the ordinary or something I wouldn't have experienced in downtown Toronto. So yeah. So another question I got, which I thought was really interesting, was if I could go back in time to 2015, 17-year-old me, and would I choose Guelph after my 4.5 years there? And honestly, yes, I feel like I would have chosen Guelph because now that I'm finished university, and like I can't imagine me going anywhere else. There's obviously a lot of other schools, and at the time I was debating between Guelph, Western, Ryerson, and I think Ottawa. So I feel like I can't imagine myself going to Western, as much as I remember at the time I really wanted to go to Western, but I guess everything worked out and everything happened for a reason. But yeah, I feel like I would have picked Guelph. The only thing is, I remember now that I'm finished like school in general, I feel like the university selection process was a lot more stressful than it had to be. Like, I understand why. I just feel like at the time it seemed like your life depended on what school you went to and like the program, and I guess in a weird twisted way it kind of does, but in my opinion it really doesn't. And the only thing I would have considered at the time is I feel like I had a lot more options than I thought I did. Like, I feel like I only thought my only option was university. I easily could have went to college, I could have went abroad, I could have done a lot of different things for the university program, like in terms of like post-secondary school, and I feel like I wish I had considered those options more, or like I feel like I should have considered different programs or had different backup plans. But other than that, I feel like at the end of the day I would have picked Guelph. So yes, I feel like I would have picked Guelph if I had to go back in time and choose. Okay, another question I get a lot is advice about purchasing textbooks, and I think I mentioned this in my last video, but absolutely do not buy a textbook if you don't have to. I wasted so much money in my first semester buying textbooks. Like, profs make it seem that it's mandatory. It's not. It's a scam. They're lying. Don't buy a textbook if you don't absolutely positively need it, and even if they say you need it, they're probably lying. Don't buy a new textbook, like, at all. There are so many Facebook groups and pages and places that you can buy them used. Nothing's wrong with buying it used at all. I wish I bought them used, especially when you're in first year. A lot of your courses are very general, so there's so many people who took economics, there's so many people who took chem, there's so many people who took bio and English. There's no reason that you should have to buy a new textbook. They don't change anything. They probably change one word and make a whole new textbook and charge you way too much for it. So I would 100% buy them used. They're so much cheaper. If you have to buy it, like if you don't want to buy it from somebody else, you can go to the co-op bookstore, but I heard it was pretty stressful to find a book there. It's pretty like first come first serve, which is kind of annoying. If you have to buy it, buy a loose leaf one, because you can put it in a binder and it's so much cheaper. It's obviously not as cute and nice and whatever, but it's a textbook. Like, who cares, right? Just get a binder from the bookstore, or you can get one from Staples and just put the loose leaf one in there and do that. If you have to, honestly, I wouldn't even buy it. Like, just if you really need a textbook, you can go to the library. They keep one on reserve, and you can just print out, photocopy the pages that you need to for that week, TBH, because it's just, in my opinion, it's just not worth it. If you have a friend, you can like split the cost and you can share the textbook together. I would avoid it, to be honest. I don't think it's worth it at all, ever, to buy a textbook. I'm very anti new textbooks, so I personally would not buy one at all. If you can avoid it, don't buy it. Buy it used. So that's my answer to that. Don't buy used. Don't buy a new textbook at all, ever. If you can avoid it, go to absolutely every length that you can to avoid it. So yeah. Another question I get a lot is what my biggest fear was going into university. At the time, I think mine was making friends. I feel like I should have been more worried about school, but I was not. I was more worried about making friends, especially because coming from high school, I didn't have the best time in high school and I wanted to just kind of have a fresh start. But at the time, I was pretty like quiet and kept to myself, and I never really had to make my own friends, to be honest. They just kind of came to me. So I was kind of worried about like stepping outside of my comfort zone and having to like talk to people, which I think is a common fear amongst a lot of people, but something I realized pretty quickly, like the weeks leading up to me going away to school, is everyone is probably thinking the same thing. Everyone wants to make new friends, especially during Frosh Week. Like I feel like everyone is super open to making new friends, so it's not something that, like, if that's your worry as well, like everyone's worried about the same thing. 1 and 2, unless like everyone from your school is going to university with you, which is probably unlikely. No one at university knows who you are. They don't know anything about you prior to Guelph or whatever school you decide to choose. They don't know anything. They don't know if you were weird in high school. They don't know if you were quiet. They don't know anything. So you could go and essentially be whoever you want to be. If you want to be more bubbly, if you want to be more outgoing, if you want to be whatever, you can do that. If you want to pursue a completely different passion and make friends with a completely different group of people that you know never really had, you can do that and no one will question you. Like, it's a completely new start. It's a brand new start. You can be whoever you want to be, and I think that's what I did, and I think that's why I just was able to make friends so quickly. I guess I just kind of was like, okay, cool, I'm just gonna be me and be open to different things and different people and just go out there. I feel like it seems so scary, because it is. I mean, let's be honest, making new friends is kind of like, it's a weird experience, but keep in mind those people don't know you at all, so you can be as whatever as you want to be and they're not going to question it at all. And everyone's trying to make friends too, so you know, if you're like, hey, do you want to eat lunch with me, I'm 95% sure they're gonna want to eat lunch with you, so you'll be all right. Another question I get a lot is what my overall experience was. I had the best time at Guelph. I loved it. It was so good. I also don't know if that's just because my high school experience was just so bad that in comparison, university was just so much better. Obviously it was stressful because like university is stressful and there was a lot of work and, you know, it was a lot sometimes, but overall I had a really good time. I feel like I wish I had kind of invested more time into the school in a way and sort of like participated more in school stuff. I didn't really go to any like football games. I went to a few in like first year, but like I feel like when it came later on into my university career, I didn't really, like, as time went on, I kind of became less and less involved, which is like fine, but I just wish that I feel like I was just, I don't know, I feel like I would have participated more, joined more clubs, went to more like sporting events, because I mean at the end of the day you're only really going to university once. So I wish I kind of would have lived up that student life a little bit more, but other than that I had a really good time. I don't regret anything. It was good. I made some of the best friends ever and I'm still friends with those people from first year to this day. So yeah, it was good. It was great. So another question I get sometimes is about the study abroad programs, which is so fun because I actually went on a study abroad program. I went twice, which is crazy, but the first one I went to was in Austria. It was in Innsbruck, Austria, to the management school Innsbruck, I think it's called, and it's a business school there, and I went for a month, and it was this cute little like exchange program, and there was a whole bunch of people from different countries, including Guelph, but from places as far as China and Russia and Mexico, and it was so fun. And we were taught by North American teachers, but it was really cool. Innsbruck is beautiful, Austria is beautiful, and I had a really good time. We actually did do like work, but that's where a lot of my credits came from. If you want me to do a whole video on my study abroad, I will definitely do one because I have a lot of stuff to talk about, but it was a really great time. After Austria, I also went to like on a traditional study abroad program. I went to the UK, I went to England, I went to this university called Kiel. and I had a really great time. When I went, it was in my last semester of 4th year, so by that point I was actually finished a lot of my business credits, so a lot of the courses that I was doing at Kiel were electives, so I was having a great time. I had a lot of time to travel. I went to a lot of different places around Europe. I made some really great friends too, who I also still talk to this day. But yeah, it was a really great time, and I would highly recommend. I feel like Guelph has a lot of study abroad programs that aren't necessarily like the traditional 6 months one that I did, and there's a lot of like really cool gems in there. So if you don't want to go away for a whole semester and you want to just do what I did, like the little month, there's like a bunch there. I know some people who went to Paris for like a month, or Italy. There's so many, so I would definitely look into it. There's also opportunities to do research. I know a friend who did that as well. Yeah, I would really recommend to look into it. If you do have the opportunity to go, I would definitely say go. It's such a life-changing experience, not to be like that bitch, but it really is so good. It literally changed my life. It was so fun. And you can also use your OSAP to go, so that was not something I knew. I ended up finding that out when I was applying, but you can actually use your OSAP to go, and you can also win scholarships as well if you are super academic. Good for you. You can also use like your scholarships to go away, so especially if you are a minority, you can also, there's probably a bunch to help you go. So yeah, I'd really look into it. I'd really recommend it for everyone. It's a really great experience, and it's such a great way to travel as well. After university, it's kind of hard, especially now with there's a whole pandemic outside, but you know, you have so much more expenses after university. So while you're in university, you might as well go. Your tuition is the same as it was at Guelph. Obviously you have to pay for like room and board and food and travel and all that other stuff, but your tuition itself is the same at Guelph. But like I said, want a whole video on study abroad, I will definitely do one. Just let me know and I will love to talk about it. So another question is, are people at Guelph mean? Or like, what's the student culture? And honestly, Guelph is notorious for being so nice. Everyone is so nice. I don't think I actually ever ran into someone who's rude to me ever. But similar to the minority question, this really just depends. I'm sure there's mean people, and I'm sure someone else who went to Guelph maybe had a different experience, but I personally had no problems ever. I never had beef with anyone. Like, it was completely fine. Everyone's so nice, even outside of campus. Like, even when you're in the city, everyone was so nice. But that doesn't mean that there's not rude people. Like, there's rude people everywhere, and I'm sure there are, but overall everyone was really nice. Everyone was really sweet. Everyone was really helpful. So yeah, loved it. Another question is, how are the profs at Guelph? So this is kind of an interesting question, and it really again depends on what program you're in. Overall, I found them okay. I don't know, I don't really thrive in lecture environments anyway, so whether or not a prof is like good kind of doesn't really apply to me because I don't really like lectures as it is. So yeah, I was in the business program. I majored in marketing management. I also minored in psychology, so all my profs were business or psych profs, so obviously those are the only ones I ever came in contact with. So I found them okay. I don't know, I don't really have any like positive things. Like, I'm not like they were the best, like they were profs. I don't know. I did have one business prof. I think his name was Rob McLean, who was really good in my last few years of the university. I think I had him in second year too, but I don't know, I think he's the program counselor now. I don't know. This was a while ago, I don't know, but he was really good. He taught business communications, and he also taught IMC. I don't know. What was the other course he taught? I don't know, doesn't really matter, but he taught business communications, and I actually really learned a lot in that course. He was the one who actually made us set up a LinkedIn, and I now use that obviously in my professional life, so he was great. But a lot of the profs that I really liked were in psych. So the psych profs I found were actually really good. I don't remember them by name, but there was one course that I took in first year. It was called Human Development in the Lifespan, and it was an excellent course. It was an intersection between psych, bio, and kind of like cultural psychology. It was really good. It touched on a lot of different topics, and the end of year assignment was a scrapbook, so it was a lot of fun. I think her name was Dr. Susan Chang, I want to say, but if she's still teaching that course and it's available to you, please take it. It was so good. It was so fun. I would highly recommend that one. I also had a really good social psych prof as well. I forget what her name is, but she was really great as well. It started with an S. It was a woman. I don't know, she was cool. But yeah, other than that, like, they were okay. I would give them like I don't know, 6 out of 10. But if you are concerned about profs, I would really recommend you to ask around, ask people, ask upload your students, ask your friends who have them, and just go on Rate My Professor. Those are really good to find reviews about them. Also ask your program counselor. They may not be able to really tell you anything, but I personally, quick story time, I think I mentioned this before, but I went to go get my courses checked, and my program counselor specifically told me not to take a course with a specific prof because she was notorious for being horrible. And she made sure that I did not take that class, and it basically saved my GPA. So I would definitely ask them if they can tell you. They may not be able to, but they might also be able to help you out. So be sure to ask around before you take the class. Go on Rate My Professor, but generally they're okay. I don't know. I hope that doesn't scare you guys, but personally I didn't really have much of a connection with profs anyways, because like I said, I don't really vibe with lectures as it is, so it doesn't really matter to me. But yeah, they weren't awful, they weren't horrible. But yeah, so similar to the first question is, I often get a lot is if I ever felt out of place being a black girl or in like the social scene on that. And like I said, I personally didn't, just because like I said, the friends I had were really great, so I didn't have a reason to feel out of place. But like I said, maybe that situation, like that might be different for other people. If you ask another black girl who went to Guelph, maybe she'll say something different, and like that's completely valid. It's a super white school. I could imagine someone might feel a bit weird about it. I will say though, where I'm from, my hometown, it's actually really diverse, and I'm, you know, used to being in Toronto, and my high school was also really diverse too. So going from that to a really white school and place was a bit like weird, not like in a bad way. It was just kind of different to me, and I was just like, oh damn. Y'all really white, which is okay. I don't think I really had much of an issue with that, to be honest. And I think when I picked Guelph at the time, like it was known to be a white place, so I kind of knew what I was getting myself into, but it's always a little bit jarring to go to a PWI sometimes. But a lot of the reason why I picked Guelph was because I liked it, like point blank period. I liked it, I liked the program, I liked the city, and that was it. So I think going into it, I honestly didn't really think about it much. Like I kind of like, yeah, I was white, but I want to go to Guelph, so like, you know, if it's you know, I didn't really care if anyone had a problem with that, because it was about me, and it was about like me wanting to go to the school. So I feel like I always recommend to have that mindset. I don't know, it's kind of difficult sometimes, because no offense, y'all know how white people can be sometimes when you're a minority, especially when you're a woman. It can be a bit difficult, but I think at the time I honestly didn't even really think about it until after. If you hear noise, my mom's blending something, I'm so sorry. But yeah, so no, I didn't feel out of place at all, but that was just my own personal experience. Perfect timing, we're on the last two questions, so I'm gonna hurry up and wrap this up. So one question I get a lot of the time is if Guelph, like how is it as a city? So it's obviously not downtown Toronto, so it's not super exciting. Like, you know, it's a city, but it definitely gives small town vibes, which is like really funny. There's stuff to do for sure. It's a university city, so there's always stuff to do, whether you're into the whole party scene or if you're more of like a cafe gal. Like there's always stuff to do. There's definitely restaurants to go to, bars to go to, bowling alleys, movie theaters. Like there's always stuff to do. There's a mall, which is a lot better than when I was there in first year. So yeah, there's always stuff to do. Don't worry about it being boring. It was really safe at the time. It was known to be safe, which I think was why my parents were so comfortable with me going there. You know, obviously with that said, there's still weird people around and in life, so don't go outside at 2 a.m. and not, you know, still obviously practice safety precautions, but overall I felt safe. I often went downtown by myself to go do things, obviously during the day, and I felt fine. It's also because it is a university city. If you're ever lost, it's really easy to go back to Guelph or go back to where you need to go. Just be like, I go to Guelph, can you tell me how to, like what's the next bus? So it's not what am I trying to say? It's very hard to get lost there if you are ever lost, or if you're, hopefully you're never in this situation, but if you're drunk and like you have like don't know where to go, just be like, take me to Guelph, and they'll take you where you need to go. So it's honestly great, but like I said, still be safe. I found the campus to be fine as well. I often had night classes where I had to go home quite late on my own and I felt fine. Again, still be safe, still be cautious, but there's always people your age around, I feel. So I never really felt alone ever. As much as it's like a small town vibe, there's always people around, in my opinion. Even if it's like super weird hours, there's always people for some reason. So yeah, I thought it was safe, I thought it was cool, and there's always stuff to do. So there you go. Okay, so one of the last questions I also often get about being an international student, which I personally can't really speak to. It's always hard to answer those questions because I'm obviously not an international student. But I will put a number to their website if I can find it in the bio, so go check that out if you have any more questions. But I often get like whether or not it's worth it to live on campus if you're an international student, and I honestly feel like yes. And I think this just goes in general if you're from Ontario or anywhere in Canada, especially if you're in first year. I do think it's good to live on campus just because I feel like it's so much easier to make friends. A lot of people who live on campus are in first year, so it's just there's just a lot of people around in your cohort to make friends and be social and stuff. But I think if you are an international student and you're like a mature student, or if you're transferring to Guelph and you're a mature student, it might not be worth it if you're not really into the whole university experience. If you're kind of like over that, then maybe look into living off campus. But I actually lived on campus my entire time I was there. I lived in East Village towards the second all the way till my 4.5 year at Guelph. I lived in East Village, and it's basically a small apartment. I always had 3 other roommates, but we had a kitchen, we had access to laundry, and it felt very independent even though it was still on campus. I really liked that because I didn't have to worry about utilities at all. I literally just paid the fee. It's a little bit more than obviously living off campus, but personally I didn't mind it for the convenience sake. It was so much easier to get to class. It was on campus but not. There's parking if you obviously have a car. If anything went wrong, if your toilet was broken, your shower was broken, I just called maintenance and they came and fixed it. There was no charge, there was no fee for that. It was really easy, and because it was on campus, like everything was so close as well. There was also a little convenience store, so if you like ran out of stuff, you can just quickly grab pasta sauce and be on your way. Towards the end of my time at Guelph, we didn't have a laundry cart. I know we did at the beginning, but I think they took that away. I don't know if they put it back, but towards the end we didn't have a laundry card, so I didn't have to pay for laundry, which is so nice. And because I know when you live off campus, you know, you have to be kind of strategic with your laundry. You have to pay for those utilities and stuff, so I didn't have to pay for it. I literally just did my laundry. So I personally really liked it. It was really nice. It's a little bit more expensive than obviously living off campus, but it worked for me. So yeah, I would say consider it, especially if you're new to Guelph and like the city. Like it might be cool. And I know when you're an international student, they often pair you with other international students. I think you can request that, so it might be good to find people who are also new to the country and to Guelph who can help you out, and you can like it's easier to bond together. You can cook your own food, and I know like finding a lease and signing that whole thing is kind of stressful, and that's why I didn't end up doing it. But yeah, that was my 2 cents on it. I would say consider it, but if it's super out of your price point and you're like, I don't really want to stay on campus, then yeah, I would say look for an apartment or a house off campus. So yeah, that's the end of my video. I really hope you guys enjoyed. I really hope I answered some of your questions that I often get a lot of the time. But yeah, feel free to ask me more things in the comments. If I missed anything, I sure I did. I'm probably gonna have to make a part 3, 4, and 5 which I actually don't mind doing. I loved Guelph. Obviously it's not a perfect school, no one's ever perfect, but I had a really great time there. If you're considering it, I would highly recommend. But yeah, so if you have any other questions for me, like I said, put them in the comments. Don't be afraid to DM me on Instagram. My updated Instagram is in the bio because I know people often message me on my old one, but I have a kind of dog. I have a new account now, so be sure to message me on there. But yeah, don't be afraid to ask me anything. I'm an open book. I love helping people out. I know the university process was super stressful. I'm so sorry about that. It doesn't have to be that way, but it is. So I'm happy to help anyone who ever has anything to ask. But yeah, like I said at the beginning, be sure to subscribe to this channel if you want to see more of me and more Guelph content in the future when I film those things. Follow me on all my social media. But yeah, that's it for today. I will see you guys in my next video, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye. And if you're gonna be going to Guelph and you got accepted, yay. Bye.